Welcome to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight. Kick your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up your span, parallel feet, choose one side. Cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good golden cockerel. Good Tai Chi posture. Opening up your span. Concentrating on your danten. Center, shift weight. Up. Golden cockerel. Kicking out. Shift weight, center, and out. Last set. Holding our ball. Root down. Good posture. L stance, out and to the side. Bow stance. Stretch. Sit back, sit down. Smooth everything out. Firm down. Ball and T. L. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Center. L stance. Part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, ball and T, out and to the side, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, ball and T, out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, ball and T, out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. Flip that forward hand, join it with the back. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock. 11, 10, 9 o'clock, flip the hands, join the feet. 12 o'clock cup, 3 o'clock, flip the hands, open the feet. 9 o'clock, only flip the hands. 12 o'clock, middle or cup. 3 o'clock, flip the hands, join the feet. Cloud hands, middle. Flip meet, open, middle. Only flip meet, shift your weight up, golden cockerel. Kick out. Grasp the bird's tail. It's still warming up, so we're not going to end with the 10 form. We're going to still practice, okay? So we're on the other side, we're going to do grasping of the bird's tail also. Sit back, sit down, center, out on an L, push your opponent away. Turn your hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, pull down, pull back, look back, turn, contact, push in the center of your body. Roll back and spiral forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball on a T stance. You're going to take an L to ward off. Turn the hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, look back, turn, square contact, push, separate and roll back, and spiral forward. Sit down, sit back, pivot, parallel higher on a T. We're going to brush our knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, Parallel higher. Multitask to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, parallel higher. Multitask to brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Spiral. And spiral. Ward off. Turn hips and waist. Grasp the bird's tail. Look back, sit back. Turn, square contact, push. Separate and roll back. And spiral forward. Apparently closed. Sit back, sit down, pivot. Open pivot. In pivot. Off the ground, shift your weight. Right hand on the inside, rotate. Chest level, both palms are facing. Push out. Separate. Drop your shoulders, flex your knees. Hands go for the ride as you now close your form. Okay, right away now we're going into the 24, okay, beginning movements. So we're going to push back 3 steps and we're going to put our hands at our waist and we're going to come forward. Okay, here we go. Pivot out with your right heel, shift your weight. Out with your left heel on an L stance, turn your hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Zigzag. L stance, bow stance. Okay, this time we're going to hold our ball. Sit back, sit down. Left hand on the bottom, hold your ball to center. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Hold your ball. Out with your heel, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Hold your ball. L stance, bow stance. Listen carefully. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball to the right. Lift up your right hand. Lift up your left foot. Counterbalance. White crane spreads his wings on his toes. Weight is on the back foot. You're going to bring your top hand to bisect your body as you lower your front foot. You're going to spiral to multitask, glance, and brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out. You're going to parallel higher on an L stance, move the hands, turn your body, brush knee 2. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher, final brushing of the knee. Half step forward on your toe, sit back on your back foot, rock the front foot to its toes, set it on its heel as you play your lute. We're set up now for repulsing of the monkey, a backwards Tai Chi walk. Drop your front foot, center your front hand, glance at your back hand that's higher. Lift up, bring the back hand to your ear, toe, heel, meet both hands in the middle as you pivot the front foot, pull back, push forward. Pulse of the monkey. Glance at your higher hand, lift, ear, toe, heel, meets in the middle, pivot, slide forward, slide back. Center, higher, lift, ear, toe, heel, meet in the center as you pivot, repulse a monkey 3. Last one. Center, higher, glance, lift, ear, toe, heel, meet in the center, slide forward, slide back. Hold your ball in a T stance and you're facing the clock wall. You're going to ward off. Out on an L, move that ball, push your opponent away. Turn your hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, pull down, pull back, look back. Turn, square, then contact, push that energy out. Separate your hands and roll back. And spiral forward. Same thing on the other side. Sit back, sit down, pivot. Right hand on the bottom to hold your ball on a T stance. You're going to push your opponent away and face the road. Give me my space. Turn your hips and waist. Grasp the bird's tail. Pull down, pull back, look back. Turn, square, then contact, push. Separate and roll back. And spiral forward. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, 12 o'clock cup. 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, flip the hands, close the feet. 12 o'clock cup, go up to the 3 o'clock, make a hook, across your face with the left hand, step out on an L, turn the palms. This is called single whip. We're going into cloud hands, but we're going to reposition ourselves, okay? So put your hands down, go back to your home where you started, turn to the field, put each foot on a line, drag the right foot back, 45-degree it, bend the forward foot, put your left hand there, put your right hand across your body and bring it a little bit back with a hook. This is single whip. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock cup, 3 o'clock cloud hands. Middle, cup and stem. 11, 10, 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. 12 o'clock, stem and cup. 3 o'clock, flip the hands, open the feet. 12 o'clock, cup. 9 o'clock, two things happen. Flip the hands, close the feet. 12 o'clock, stem and cup. 3 o'clock, open, flip, cup. 9 o'clock, flip, close, final, cup. Gonna hook the back hand, left hand across the face on a T, out and to the side, second single whip. Half step forward, sit back. You're gonna pat your horse on his toe, okay? All right, now we're gonna do it this way, okay? Single whip, 2 feet on 2 different lines, drag the right foot back, 45-degree it, bend the knee of the front foot, left hand follows that knee, right hand is the hook. Second single whip, we're going into padding of the high pad on the horse. Half step forward, sit back. With the weight of your foot on the back allows you now to put your front foot on its toe, palms are up, lift up the front foot. You're going to go patting the horse's mane, which is right in front of you. Cross at the wrist. We're going to step out with our left heel and both palms are going to go down. Gather up the energy, right foot up, right hand on the outside, kick out. In, drop gently on your heel on an L stance. You're gonna punch your opponent by his 2 ears. This is called double punch. Sit back, sit down. Pivot all the way to the field. Left hand on the outside, left foot coming up, kick out, in, serpent. Good. Okay, so you can see that as we move into the 24, we're using different muscles, we're using different movements, very stimulating. All right. Let's go back over. I could go further into the 24 and teach you how to be a serpent and move on, but I think maybe we'll work on what we have and try to perfect that since many of you are not going to be able to enter our daytime classes, okay? So I want to kind of secure that down and then hopefully give you a better foundation in which you can work from on your own, okay? Let's repeat what we just did, okay? Let's repeat what we just did, because if we repeat what we just did, we will get in more movements and a better understanding of where the 10 movements have come from, okay, or where they're derived. All right, so we're going to Tai Chi walk towards the front, okay? Hands at our waist, good Tai Chi posture, so we're not hunched over like this now. We're adhering to our cable, which is drilled from the middle of our skull, okay? Here we go. Pivot out on our right heel, shift our weight, firm down. Out on an L stance with our heel. Our energy is stored in our back. We're going to make it transfer across our hips and waist through our chest and out this way. This is the bow stance, right? You have a bow and an arrow. Sit back, sit down. This is called a twist step, like the T stance, but we're in motion. We're walking in that zigzag direction, but changing our course on an L stance, turning our hips and waist, firming down, bow stance. So I think I'm going to just teach you how to do Tai Chi walk, okay? Sit back, sit down, pivot out, shift your weight, that's the T stance, L stance, turn your hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out like a T stance or a zigzag, out with your heel on an L stance, turn the hips and waist, move that energy, you're on a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, walk in that zigzag direction, out with your heel, weight is still in the back until you move that energy, plant it down on a bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Zigzag, shift your weight, L stance, move that energy, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, walk in that zigzag direction, heel, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit down, sit back, pivot out, walk in that zigzag direction, out with your heel, turn your hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, heel, bow stance, okay? Now we'll go back and we'll put movements to it, okay? I could say we'll do a Tai Chi walk back, but I think you need to look at someone. So we're going to start with the same spot where you started from, okay? This time we're not going to warm up because we've already warmed up. So we're going to be holding our ball. You're going to pivot on your right heel. The left hand is on the bottom, the right hand's on the top. Once you get this, then your left foot should be insubstantial, therefore on its toe. We're going to take an L stance, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball to center, L stance, move the ball, part the wild horse's mane. And this is going to be a drill for all parting of the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, L stance, move that ball, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, L stance, move the ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, move that ball on an L, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, move the ball on an L, part the wild horse's mane. We've done too many, we want to get out. So the transition movement is white crane spreads its wings. This is how you do it. Half step forward on your toe as you hold your ball to center. Sit on the back foot as you raise the right hand, glancing at it, left foot's on its toe, lifting it off the ground, plant it on its toe, the weight is on the back. White crane now spreads its wings, okay? Let's go back and do brush knee now, okay? So in brush knee, we're doing a multitask. We're no longer holding our ball, but we're up like this, but we can still do the same pattern. So let's say we're going to pivot on our right heel. How are we going to set up our hands? Right hand higher, left hand parallel to your shoulder. Weight on the right foot. As we step out on a heel, this is occurring, okay? So can we do it together? Because remember, it's a multitask. Ready, go. Heel, ear, turn the hips and waist. Brush knee, perfect. We're on a bow stance. We have to sit back, sit down. We have to do a twist step. Parallel higher. Ear, heel, hand, L stance, brush knee. Sit back, twist step, parallel higher. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Listen carefully, we did too many, we need to stop. We need a transition. Half step forward on your toe, reposition your hands as you sit back on your back foot, up on your toe of the front foot, set it on its heel, and play your lute. I'm going to turn around and show you how your hands should be positioned. Your hands should be positioned like this. The left hand is higher, the right hand is lower, the palm is across the crux of your elbow of your left hand, and your weight is on the back. All right, we're going to do something with that since you're all got it. We're going to repulse the monkey. Center the front hand, look at the back hand that's higher. Weight on the back, it's never changed. We're going to bring the top hand to our ear as we lift the front foot, put it on its toe, then its heel. We're in a zigzag like this, right? So we're going to move to the center, both hands, as we pivot on the ball of our foot, slide back, slide forward. You'll have many times to practice. Center, look at the back hand that's higher, weight on the back. Lift up as you bring the higher hand to your ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your foot to meet in the middle, slide and repulse the monkey. Center, right hand higher, glance, weight on the back. Lift up, ear, toe, heel, meet both hands in the middle as you pivot on the ball of your foot, repulsing of the monkey. Center, higher, glance, weight on the back, lift, ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your foot in the middle, slide forward, slide back. Last one, center, higher, lift, ear, toe, heel, meet in the center, actually second to the last one. One last one, center, higher, lift, ear, toe, heel, slide, meet, slide. Hold your ball, face the clock wall, and hold your ball on a T stance. Left foot ready to go, left hand ready to go to ward off. Out on an L, move that ball, push your opponent away. Turn your hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, pull down, pull back, look back. Turn, square contact, push, separate and roll back. and roll forward, spiral forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, right hand on the bottom to hold your ball on a T stance, out on an L stance, push your opponent away. Turn your hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, pull down, pull back, look back. Turn, square, then contact, push, separate and roll back, and spiral forward. Sit back, sit down, pivot, 12 o'clock cup, 9 o'clock, flip the hands, T stance, hook the backhand, out on an L, single whip, okay? All right, good. That's very, very good. So what you've proven to yourselves and to me is that you've made some transition from the 10 form and tried to apply it to the Tai Chi walk and the other young forms, such as 24 and 16. So although in the past we've taught separate forms and kind of memorized the movements for that form, if we take another approach where we understand the principles of Tai Chi, you can apply them to all three forms and not just do them in separate ways or separate approaches. So I'm going to give you a little break now. We've been actually moving for over 30 minutes, okay? But sometimes it's good to kind of stop and then just kind of view something to see how you did, okay, or kind of see how it matches with what I do. And this time, though, I'm going to be facing you, so you're going to have to kind of twist that picture around, okay? So in a Tai Chi walk, we first warmed up in this fashion. We were in good posture. We're not looking down and we're not flexing our knees. No problem with that. However, where we were on a T stance for our commencing form, or when we were warming up, not commencing form, but when we were warming up, we now take that T stance away and we do a twist step, which is similar, or it takes its place. It's a substitute for a T stance. So this is a twist step. Both hips have to be walking in this direction. We firm down and we call this our substantial foot. Our heel comes out. It's on a line or parallel to the line because this is now an L stance. The energy is still stored here. It has to travel from the root or the foot of my foot across my hips and waist, and it has to firm down to be a 50-50 now. So we warmed up in this way. We were trying to match the T stance, which is a twist step, an L stance, which remains the same, and then we got into a bow stance. Then we said, we can now move into holding our ball to part the wild horse's mane. When we move in this fashion, we're not using our Tai Chi, all of our Tai Chi body. We're needing to use a center, so the ball actually helps us. We are firmer now. We're on a L stance, no different, but we're advancing forward. We're not just taking a few blocks. We're taking a twist step, an L stance, a bow stance. We then drilled that and we did all of the whole roll for parting of the wild horse's mane, but I'm going to abbreviate it. Then we said half step forward and we need better balance, so our ball comes into play. We spin the ball, but we sit back on our back foot. Our left hand comes up, our right foot comes down, and this is how white crane spreads its wings. We want to get into a multitask of brushing our knee. So we're going to bisect, drop the front foot, bisect the body, turn, and we're going to multitask. Look at the top hand that's higher. Bring it to the ear, set out our heel as we get into an L stance, bow stance. Sit back. So when we multitask, we come out on an L, we turn our hips and waist, brush our knee, okay? And when we want to get out of brush knee, we set ourselves up, and this is a transition movement. Am I doing it right? Half step forward. Half step is always on our toe. We're going to sit back on our back foot, rock the front foot to the toe, but set it on its heel, because now the weight is always on the back. When we repulse the monkey, we drop the front foot, we center the front hand, we look at the back hand that's higher. We bring it to the ear as we lift up, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of our foot as we meet in the middle, slide forward, slide back. Center, higher, glance, lift up as we bring it to the ear, toe, heel, meet both hands, pivot, slide forward, slide back. So each time we do this, we're counterbalancing and taking safety precautions. Right now, our weight is always on the back. If it were on the front too, we would have trouble lifting this foot. So it has to be pretty weightless. Up, ear, toe, heel, pivot, slide. So each time we do that, I imagine that you have probably minds that are more flexible than mine, but we are doing a backwards Tai Chi walk, okay? So if we dissected every movement, every little bit has something to help us with balancing and helping us with understanding how the movement is arrived and how it is put together.
I'm just to help you with maybe finishing up your movements, as in repulsing the monkey. You're at this position here, and what you're trying to do is you're in position when you're playing the lute to be ready to grab somebody by the wrist on one hand and put pressure on his elbow. So you got him. Now, you can do anything with him, but then you transition to the monkey, okay? Comes out, hands open up. And although Lucille says to the ear, eventually you get to the ear. You're here, all the weight is on your substantial leg, your right leg in this case. Nothing is here. But you see, when you're out here, if you try doing this, huh? But the hand is out. Lee, put your hand out, put one forward, one back. And when you do this, you're in a neutral position because you have a counterweight here, you have a counterweight here. You're not going anywhere, okay? Now, if you want to start to move, one way to help yourself and still keep that stability is you come up and the leg comes in, but the arm comes up to the ear. That's where the hand to the ear comes. If you get too prematurely here, then you're doing this, you see, versus you're out, in. And then from here, you do the rotation. This is coming forward, and the arm is coming forward. From here, you're stable. Arm is coming forward, leg comes backward. Again, you maintain stability in this position, except what are you doing? You are coming from here, you are rotating, but you're also doing a linear retreat, yeah? Okay? Open again. Stability, everything is here on the left leg. Comes up, hand and leg comes up, turn, sit back. Stability, arms and legs come together, turn. All the time, you're concentrating on your dantian because that allows you to do movement, linear, as well as rotatory. The arms help you in terms of helping you maintain that stability. You're thinking here, you're using your leg and the central core of your body, and focus on here so you know that this is front, comes out. Just practicing here. See? And if you prematurely come to here, you lose more of the spiral effect. What you're trying to do is, that's a spiral in this direction, okay? Otherwise but if you spiral it, okay? This is a maneuver that begins to give you an idea of what all your body complements itself in the various parts work together to try to be as stable and proficient in what you're trying to do.
So we're in Tai Chi to learn about our body, and in the process we strengthen the muscles that we need, and that's applicable to everything that we do. And when we tackle a hard or difficult, complex movement, such as a backwards Tai Chi walk, I don't think that the mind should say, well, I'm staying away from it. I just want to stay with the 10 form, because that's not how you're going to grow. You're going to grow and strengthen and get better stamina by learning something a little more difficult. So I think just like with children, the earlier you introduce something, the mind is more apt to pick it up. But if we stay with a routine so long that you want your comfort zone all the time, okay? So tonight I'm going to give you your comfort zone. For the rest of the night, we'll do the 10 form, okay? Commencing form. Shift weight on your toe, open, toe, arch heel, hands rotate. Take a deep breath in as we elevate both hands. At shoulder level, we make ourselves small, dropping our shoulders, flexing our knees, wrists and elbows. Center the left hand, right hand rises up higher, opens to the ceiling, glancing as you bring it to the ear, turning your head, meeting hands in the middle, repulse of the monkey. Center, glance up higher, open, bring it to the ear, turn your face, meet both hands, slide forward, slide back, T-stance, parallel higher. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, wash your knees. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, wash your knees. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball on a T, out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, pivot, hold your ball, out on an L. Here it is. Flip the forward hand, join the back. Sit back, sit down, pivot, cloud hands. With knees, middle, open, middle, flip, middle, turn, contact, push, separate, roll back, spiral, sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, off to the side, give me my space, turn your hips and waist, grasp the bird's tail, look back, turn, square contact, push, separate, roll back, spiral forward, sit back, sit down, pivot, open pivot, in pivot, embrace the tiger, up, rotate, push out, separate, drop your shoulders, flex your knees, as you close your form, commencing form. Bouncing of the monkey. Wild horses move. Apparently close. Embrace the tiger. Closing form. Okay, last round. Begin. Bye.